way back in 2007. And I know Bob's here, he was at those meetings. When we took over the town, we found out that there were a lot of employees that were told by the town and the health insurance at that time, they didn't have to sign up at the age of 65 for Medicare.
You didn't have to.
Well, it's the law of the country. Yes, you had to.
Well, you did not. You did not.
Well, I'm not gonna start beating, but I think if you ask the attorney, I think
Part B is optional.
I'm sorry.
Part B is optional. You don't have to sign up for Part B.
You do have to sign up for Part B, Bob. I think, can you answer that question?
No, I can't, but I can, I mean, if that's the sticking point, I can get you an answer.
Okay, well, it's the law of the land that when you turn 65, you have to, if you don't take it. All right, Bob,
I'll show you.
go ahead. I'll let you
You have
talk.
to sign up for Social Security. You don't have to sign up for Part B.
Well, Social Security is what we're talking about because it's the,
You don't understand it.
well, then why were the people penalized because they didn't sign up?
Because they didn't have to. We covered them in the old plan. Prior to 2007, everybody was on the same plan. The retirees and the regular employees. 2007, the insurance company came to us and said, we have a better plan for the town to save approximately $25,000. But it requires them to have to sign up for Part B. That's part of the plan. That's basic. At the time, Blue Shield was just a supplement to Part B.
But you're still off the track because when we signed up, when we went to sign up the people, Social Security told us you have a bunch of people that had never signed up and they were penalized. Wait a minute. And then they sent us a letter that they will be penalized for not signing up at the age 65.
That's very true. If you decide to sign up for it afterwards, later, there's a penalty. If you don't have to sign up.
Well, that's not what we were told, and we'll find out the legal, what you're saying, but in question is what we're doing now. Wait a minute, in question is what we're doing now, because then the resolution from 2007 was starting off just to pay the people that got penalized.
There was
Wait,
not.
Bob, it was.
Don't you read the
Wait,
resolution?
well, the resolution is what you're saying it is, I know, because you fought hard to make everybody get the same money that the people that were getting penalized. You fought for that. And at that meeting, it took a long time, and we all then finally conceded to do it that way. But it was first started to pay the penalty of the people that were getting penalized by,
No.
well, you say no, I'm saying yes, but you know, it's hard to make these gentlemen understand because none of them were here.
Well, what should we understand, what was said or what was in writing? I mean, it's.
All right, well, what's happening with the resolution now? There's about 3 different phrases. Mr. Mitchell, the previous attorney, was saying that that part wasn't for the employees' spouses because it doesn't state spouse. So that's one problem.
Let me read exactly what the.
I know what it says. We all know what it says.
You should probably read it.
All right, Bob, go
Yeah,
ahead and read
I'd
it.
like to hear it
Come
myself.
up to the microphone and read it.
Discussion regarding town health insurance.
Okay, Bob, what was the date of that? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Resolution 17 of 2007. I don't have the exact date,
That's right. Thank you. I just.
but whatever that resolution. The discussion regarding town health insurance plan through Jaeger and Flynn Associates that requires all town employees to be on Medicare Part B, which in the past was optional. The adoption of this plan will save the town between $22,000 and $25,000, even with the reimbursement of Medicare Part B costs. Attorney for the town agreed that choosing the plan at great savings to the town, including reimbursement of Medicare Part B, is a wise fiscal decision by the town board. And here's the resolution itself. Resolution upon motion by Council McLean, seconded by Council Waterhouse, to adopt health insurance plan, which includes Medicare supplement PPO with reimbursement of Part B costs for retirees. Roll call vote. Councilman Flame, aye. Councilman Waterhouse, aye. Councilman Field, aye. Councilman Deal, aye. Super Merlino, aye. Carried. Now, does that explain it?
It's pretty clear.
That was pretty clear, but back in 2015, a lot of it was changed. Everybody got letters on the effect that that part was being changed. It was changed in employee policy in the booklet with a lot of other things at that time.
2011.
15, 14 or 15,
2013.
13. Well,
2013. I never received that letter.
okay, well, I can't argue.
But
if you
at
got
any
that,
rate-
But everybody else got letters. There's no,
So what? So what? There was no resolution saying that. I went back and checked matter of fact, I sent a freedom of information request asking for the resolution where that was done. There isn't any.
that was done in the handbook with a lot of other.
You can't do it in handbook. You gotta adopt a resolution.
We
stating
adopted
what
it
you're
in the handbook with 3 or 4 different changes to the handbook, and there was a passed at the reorganizational meeting.
doing. 2013.
That's when it was
But
passed.
never in any board minute is ever any mention of what those changes were. It merely says what was discussed. Well, what was discussed? Nowhere in the minutes does it state what.
It wasn't, I know it's not stated in the minutes, but it was discussed at meetings. It was discussed.
Where is it in the minutes?
I
How does
don't
anybody
write the
know what was
meetings.
discussed?
I don't type them or write them. I'm just telling you, it was discussed. It was discussed for almost 6 months.
You say that, but prove it to
Well,
me. Where is it in the minutes? Where is the resolution? If it was discussed and it was adopted, there should be a resolution specifically stating what was changed.
there was, when we changed the handbook, there's 6 or 7 things. Wait a minute.
There's gotta be a resolution allowing. it
And
to
that
be
was
done.
discussed inside the change of the handbook on like 3 or 4 other things that were changed. We didn't make a resolution for each one of
Wait a
those.
minute. The handbook was changed after all this was done.
No,
Yes, it was. You're not gonna print a handbook up before you make changes.
well, it had to be proven at that board to make, then we printed the changes, Bob.
You're talking in circles. I don't know.
Well, I know what I
I know.
Remember.
because I was there.
You and Tom Deal and I went to Social Security to try to get those penalties taken away from the employees because they did not know they had to sign up for 65, or they were told they didn't have to
They
sign up.
didn't have to. They didn't have to because they're covered by the previous plan.
But it had nothing to do with the plan. It's you have to sign up at 65, whether you take it or you don't.
It says right here, that I think it's optional. Town attorney said it's optional at the time right here in the statement. Which in the past was optional.
Well, it wouldn't, then would it be optional if the board has the right to cancel all the insurance right now?
No.
Yes. A resolution could be passed to stop all payments of health insurance or anything. And that I think the attorney could attribute to.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
You know what? Can I jump in?
Yes.
I think you're right. It probably could be voted on to stop all the payments, but who voted to send this letter out? That's what my question is. Where's the resolution that authorized you to send this letter out saying we're cutting everybody's benefits? I mean, probably 30, you got 100 years of town service sitting right here. And when they retired, this is an expectation that they were thinking that they were going to get. To me, it's blasphemy that we're cutting their money back. I'm going to make a motion or whatever I need to do, that we make these guys all whole and continue to pay them what they expected the day they retired. If that happened to you, me, Jim, there's a lot of people that are on pensions. They have stuff that they work for their whole life, and these gentlemen are well represented with what they did to the town. I think it's absolutely insane and offensive that we're doing that to them right now. Just my opinion.
If you work for 32 years for the town with a promise that you're gonna get something, you think it's right that after you retire, you're saying we'll take that away? That's like hiring somebody and saying, I'm gonna pay you $20 an hour, but then after the job is done, say, nah, we're only gonna need you 15. Is that right? You really think that's right?
I don't think that's a good analogy.
no, I was just gonna, you're trying to,
How is
the
it?
things that were changing here.
Just made the
Why isn't
analogy.
it true now?
Wait,
Because these guys could have maybe got a job somewhere else that paid more money, but they stayed
No,
here
but
because they knew that they
All
were
right,
gonna
but
be.
that's not the whole point. The whole point, this came up when the state said they were keeping us to a 2% cap now. And so a couple of changes had to be made so we can keep under that 2% change.
And I understand that, Jim, but I'm just saying, from what I can see, it didn't get done the right way. It did not, and unless you can show me different, I'm on the side of these people who worked and served our town, and I'm just an advocate for the people, you know that already. I think it's insane, I think it's offensive, and I think we're going down the wrong road to hurt these people and their families by doing what we're doing. I think we should pay them back what we owe them for everything that we cut, and continue to pay them till the day, God forbid, they pass away. That's the way it goes. That's what they work for.
Did these letters go out back in January of 2013?
Yep.
I see 3 different versions in the file. 2 of them say we may have to cut the benefit. But I don't see a resolution cutting the benefit.
Or authorizing the letters.
My point about your analogy is that what you said was you do a job, agree for so much an hour, and then they don't pay you so much an hour. That's not what happens. is it?
Hey, we worked here for, well, myself, 25 years, Timmy, 32, Bruce, 28, with the promise that once we retired, we were gonna, our
That's
hospitalization would be
factored into
provided.
your hourly.
Oh,
Now,
no,
that's
yeah.
part of our pay, what is?
His analogy was
I understand what you're saying, but it's,
getting paid for while you work. Yes, you're here, it's
That's part
getting
of it.
paid while you're retired.
but you're working for it every.
Yeah,
time
I mean,
you go to work.
You start parsing words. I collect a pension. I work for the state. And I'd be extremely offended if the institution that I work for and all the service I gave that institution, my blood, sweat, and tears, did that to me. I'm with Councilman Fazio. I'm I'm for making them whole and keeping them the promise they were made when they retired to be kept. Find a way. I mean, I don't think it's right to treat these gentlemen like that or anybody else. You know, times are getting tough, things are getting more expensive, healthcare is expensive, and it puts them more and more into a bind. It's a promise that's being reeled back in and taken away. It's just unauthorized.
What I'm gonna say is hearsay, so you gotta take it with a grain of salt. The auditor that's been here for 3 or 4 months now, I asked him point blank. Paul, you were there for part of this conversation. If he could put together a package of anything he might have found, and he did, and he emailed it to us. I asked him 10 days ago, have you found any more stuff that'll help us make a decision? The answer was no. He hasn't found any more.
What's he looking for?
He was doing the audit.
He's not gonna go through the minutes and the resolutions.
Well, he did,
Did he?
because he provided us with some stuff.
And he found out.
But none of this is a resolution to stop the benefit. It's the
What are we
letters.
doing here?
It's no different than my mother went through. My father served for General Electric Corporation for over 30 years. She all of a sudden got a letter. We're cutting your benefits. Here's $1,000 a year towards your medical insurance, and that was it.
Did it go in front of the board of General Electric?
I would imagine.
I would imagine. Didn't go in front of our town board. Or there'd be a record of it.
And as everybody knows, people that work for Finch Prime and other places, companies do have that right. Okay, to make an amendment and change your benefit plan. I know a number of people over at Finch Prime that went through, and when the business was sold, they lost a lot on their benefits and their retirement. Okay,
But you know,
Is it-
we go through a lot, you know.
let me tell you about it. Okay, is it right? No, just like you guys were commenting, and I have to agree. And I can't find it in the paperwork. I've done a lot, and I'm sorry I didn't get time to just need to get a view call and find out more. But I know that the people that work for the town, part of their benefit package and their thought of what they got per hour, the benefit package meant a lot to them. And I'm sorry, I have to agree with 2 gentlemen next to me. That taking something away from the employee is not good.
Now, if we wanted to discuss it and say from this point forward, no additional employees when they retire will be put on this program, whatever, that's great. If you're transparent, everybody knows that's working here today. You don't want to work here tomorrow because this is no longer available, then that's the dice we roll. But to do it for somebody that, worked there 30 years, 25, whatever it was, and did a great job, I know all of you. I grew up in this town, so for me to sit here and look you in the eye and say it's right, it's not right, it's wrong.
But if you look at some of the things that have been done in the past, for instance, some of them were even living terms. What they do, they take effect as of that date.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Anybody that's retired after that.
You draw the line in the
that's going
sand.
to affect.
Right.
You can't affect somebody retired. Already retired. The employee policy applies to employees.
And if you look in the
Once
employee
you
handbook,
retire, you're not an employee anymore. You retired with whatever the benefits were at the time you retired.
and in the employee handbook that you and I looked at, it says changes can be made to this insurance thing, but it also says the first thing, no changes can be made without a town resolution
That's correct.
allowing the changes. So we put the cart in front of the horse when we made these changes.
Looking at all the paperwork that's been presented to me and reading as much as I could of it. Okay. My feeling is this whole situation was not handled correctly. Okay. Certain things were not done proper. Okay. But at the same time, things got passed. And in my eyes, you gotta live with what got passed. There was a cluster from the point we told you guys that you did not have to sign up for it. Okay, which was misinformation. Okay, that was done by which lawyer?
That wasn't true though, Paul, because you did not have to sign up for Part B.
Yeah, but there was a factor in there.
Bob, would you answer me one question? You were at those meetings when we argued that. And the attorney at that time said it was the law. And Bob, Tom Deal and I spent many hours at Social Security. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just trying to, you were sitting at those meetings when we were discussing this. And the lawyer said that's what the law of the land is. Whether you use it or you don't, you still have to sign up for it.
Yeah, but you know what, guys, that's not what we're talking about anyway. That has nothing to do with why we're here, whether you had to or you didn't.
It's just the point that we're.
Well, my point is that because of what happened, about 5 or 6 employees were penalized quite a bit.
Sure.
Because they didn't sign up. It wasn't us telling them to do
me
it.
a favor?
Sure.
Call Social Security tomorrow and ask them if it's a requirement, you should have to sign up for Part B.
They told us when we went
Call them
there.
up and ask them.
Okay, I'll have the attorney check into it. That's what,
You don't
No.
have to sign up for Part B.
I just looked it up. It's optional.
Huh?
Said I just looked it up.
Yeah,
It's optional.
it is optional.
Yeah, right. You'd be penalized if, I guess, if you sign up later or.
Your sign up period is 3 months before and 3 months after your birthday. Okay, I'm signing up. If not, you get penalized. And
Could it
that's
have been
where
Part
the
A?
comes in.
That they didn't sign up for?
Huh?
Could it have been what you have to sign up for? Is that called Part A? I can't remember.
Yeah.
When you turn 65?
Yeah,
Okay, here's what I remember me doing. I had to go and sign up and I had to tell them I didn't want the health insurance.
Yeah.
Because I was still working, and I had a good plan.
True.
you are correct.
Maybe that's what happened.
And
well,
that
that's
was
what
the reason-
basically happened.
That was the reason the other retirees didn't sign up for it, because at the time, as they say, we were covered under the old plan, which covered everybody. But then when they went to switch to this new plan, they said, the only thing is, now you gotta go on to Part B, because it's part of the insurance company's claim. The insurance company was merely a supplement to Part B.
Like most of them are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. Brian.
My insurance becomes a supplement when I turn 65. And-
So, Kyle, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. That was my main insurance right now that I have, my Empire, that turns into supplementary.
Right.
Ever Medicare doesn't cover.
It turns 65.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, they pick up the part of the cost that.
Yep.
The Part B doesn't cover.
That is correct.
Social
That's,
Security.
and we also do that too.
Social Security.
That has nothing
likes
to
it
do with
because
the
they handle
Social
all the
Security.
paperwork, too.
You know, we carry, like right now, all these people have that cover that extra 20% that Medicare doesn't pay. We carry a separate assurance for the employees. You have that, Bob. Everybody has it.
All I have is, Humana plus Part B.
That's what I'm talking. Humana is the extra that the town pays. It costs us $3,000
You're paying for the supplemental part, the Humana part.
to cover after a Medicare that doesn't come to only 80%.
Even Humana doesn't pay the full cost. They pay part of it, but they don't pay the full cost. There are still parts that aren't covered by anybody, except the retiree.
I will say,
One more question.
okay.
Do we feel that we have exhausted the search to find this resolution that doesn't look like exists?
I think so. I mean, this has been going on for over a year. We were supposed to do this a year ago and it still hasn't gotten really done. My question is to Colleen is, do you know the exact date that everything started getting cut back?
2013.
Let Colleen, Dr. Colleen.
I have the printouts here, I gave them all of you guys.
Yep.
And they all started getting cut the statement in January 2004.
And you know if everything stayed the same as they were before January 2014 up to today, how much money we're talking got cut back? No, I know, I'm just asking so everybody knows how it's going
$4,200.
for each person.
Yes. I don't need here anymore.
All right, then I need a resolution that to suspend that, pay back the $4,200 to each employee that's still with us. And then we're gonna have to sit down and figure out what we're gonna do in the future.
Well, I don't want to, myself, no disrespect to Eugene, I don't want to sit down and figure out what we're going to do in the future. I'd like to state it right now that we're going to pay everybody what they're entitled to be paying in the future. Not delay it another year or however long it's going to take to get everybody together and sit down again. These people are on fixed incomes and the money coming out of their pocket every month is something that we should be doing, not letting them keep swinging in the wind here the way they have been since January 2014. So I'd like to apologize, even though I had nothing to do with it. I think it's horrible business and not what you deserve for the service that you gave to town. So
Why don't we separate the two issues? Make two separate resolutions, one to deal with this and one to figure out what we're gonna do in the future. So we don't hold this up any longer.
No, that's up to you, gentlemen.
Colin, do you know what we would be paying today if everything was still the same? I'll talk to Colin, I'm sorry. If everything was still the same as it was in December 2013? Yes. I'm sorry to throw it all on you, but I know,
There's different months.
right. But how quickly could we ascertain what we need to pay? Okay.
So it's going to take some time. And there's going to be some definite questions that need to be answered.
Will we be able to have it by the next meeting in 2 weeks from now? No.
I think as long as we make the promise that no matter how long it takes, we're going to pay back till the way we should, even if you have to pay a little bit more out of pocket that you shouldn't have to until Colleen, she's very busy and she does a great job. But it's good. No, I didn't take it that way. I'm just saying. But this is we have to put an end to this. We really do. These people have been suffering for what, 8 years now? And just 8. But it seems like 10, I'm sure.
I guess I and the bookkeeper, we have two questions as to not all of these are parking reimbursement. So what are we going to do with people that are not parking reimbursement and that are health? Because there's a couple different things going on.
Were they impacted by the cutback too, Kyle?
$10.
There are amounts that they work on.
It seems pretty simple to me. We made a promise and broke it.
How are we going to figure out what each person is going?
Wasn't the initial thing $10 per quarter
$10 per month.
per month?
The cut was 10 a month.
It covers $10 a month.
For 8 years.
So 120 first year, 240 second, 360, 480, 600.
Are we just leaving everything exactly as it was, and just adding back the $10 a month and payment? Program as it is?
Say that again.
I don't think as it is, I think
I
as it
think
was,
that's it.
Right, as it was, not as it is, because as it is now, it's broken, as it was in December 2013. I would say, I'm not talking for
Yeah.
everybody, but
That's what I envision.
And I have one other question. Every year, the cost of Part B changes. Were those changes taken into consideration when those reimbursements were made? You know, every year, the cost of Part B changes. Were those-
To find that it has 32, no, no,
in other words, you used to figure that initially,
I wasn't. here for this. When I came on, I told you it was $10 a month.
because I've got a list of what the, what cost of Part B was each year. Because each year is different. So I don't think, I don't know this for a fact, but I don't think that was ever taken into consideration, that cost changed.
Because they were reducing.
yeah, it was going the other way.
They were looking at cost. They were reducing.
You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying is that that's when they started to reduce it, so they weren't looking at current cost.
So if it went up $50, you really lost 60.
Yeah.
But if it went down, you didn't lose quite as much.
No,
I know it.
One down 1 year.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, if we're gonna do a true audit, then that has to be taken into consideration, right?
Yeah,
So-
it's kind of a complicated thing. I spent a lot of time figuring that out.
Right.
But then my figure comes up quite a bit different than hers, but again, I took into consideration what Part B reimbursement, what the Part B cost was each year.
And that's the right way.
Because of done.
I'm sure Colleen, I got confidence in Colleen 1,000% that she's gonna do it the right way. So I'm sure if she has any questions, she could.
I don't have a formula, I mean, and I was one of the request documentation from each person for every year since then, because I don't have that documentation. So, in order-
Because everybody's is different.
Right, so in order to,
Yeah.
if we were going to do it that way, we would need documentation.
But wouldn't it be just $10, it was $10 a month? Just figure those months and that's the money, whether something else was changed, wouldn't get any more, wouldn't any more or any less would have come out.
No, but it would have come out of their pockets.
Yeah, it would make a difference.
Yeah, it would have made.
Okay, This year, right
would have
now,
made a big difference.
the cost of Part B is $170 a month. Back in 2007, or 2013. Around 100. 10, 20. You see what I mean? That's gonna change that figure, but that's nothing. I'm not concerned about that person.
Well, and again, I'm not arguing, debating, but my part, that stuff should have been the same continuous, whether it went up or down for the person, each person. Because it wasn't, it's not gonna be our responsibility to keep adding money to it. It's only gonna, you know,
certainly is.
it should-
If you say you're gonna
When
pay
you,
Part B,
when you started this, that's where it should stay, just whatever that number was.
No, the resolution said that we're gonna pay Part B. The Part B changes from this year to next year, it's gonna be an increase.
then you would have to,
One day specific amount involved, it was Part B.
you would have to assign a certain number to that Part B. Mike, am I correct on that, or?
I think you have some discretion in how you're, quote unquote, making things whole.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if we say we're gonna pay, say you retire, I'm just using Gene as an example, Gene, we're gonna pay your health insurance for the rest of your life, it's $1,000 a month. If it goes up to 1,500, you would want us to pay the 1,500, I would imagine, not just 1,000, right?
No, I couldn't answer that question.
Oh, I mean, if we
Suppose
say
a
we're gonna
lot of
pay
these,
you,
a lot of these things were done way back when there wasn't so much control over them. Let's use that
The whole
phrase.
problem is, it doesn't matter.
And
It doesn't. They were said by that they would be paid as part of their retirement, this benefit. If it goes up, it doesn't designate a cap or anything of that. Plain and simple.
it doesn't say we're gonna pay $100 a month towards your part B, it says we're gonna pay part B. So, I mean, it's not,
So
Like I said, what I read and put
how do we
together,
come up with the numbers? That's,
it's gonna be a lot of work and Colleen is not gonna be able to
You
do it
think
in 2 weeks.
everybody, that you might use the documentation?
I don't think there's anybody on that now is paying that penalty. I think everybody now is paying whatever the basic rate is for Part B. So I think if you use that figure, I think that's fair enough.
that you, in your mind, thought, is it the same for everybody, or is it different for each person?
Each person.
It should be, I think it's the same for everybody. That would be the easiest way to do it.
I
I
have.
But we
don't,
wanna do it the right way, we don't do it the easiest way,
Well,
Well,
If
there's
you
4
look
people.
at the annual deduction from our review,
There's 4 people in that list.
there are numerous people that are the same for it, but they're also different. They're not the same person.
right? Well, it's only pretty much everybody that's kind of within the room here, so.
Yeah, but there's 5 people on that list there that.
Right, but I mean, if they want the money, then they're gonna have to provide the documentation, I would think, right?
From 2013 forward.
It's gotta be somewhere, I mean, it's there somewhere, right? I don't know. Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard to
2015
do,
was the year they started.
it really shouldn't, I don't think, I don't know, I really don't know.
the people themselves would probably have to request the information, I'm
That's all.
sure. I'm sure I couldn't call and get it, you know?
How did you get your figures, Bob?
Pardon?
How did you get your figures?
How did I get them? Went on the computer and went back and see what the Part B cost was for each year.
For you
For
specifically,
me, specific,
Okay,
so it's not like, the
which is the basic cost, where the basic cost of, because I had no penalty.
Yeah.
And if anybody didn't have a penalty, it would be the same for everybody.
and how long does that penalty last? The whole rest of your life or a certain?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's your payment. It's added on to whatever you're paying for that particular month. Basically, what they're doing is just getting the money back if you didn't pay them in this.
Right.
so that's pretty much either way.
all right, so can we just agree that we're gonna look into this and get the best possible solution to this problem and end it? And then from there, future, whatever comes up, comes up.
So that last one,
Well, what in the future, if something has to come up that we're gonna cancel, I'm just saying, talking, that we're gonna eliminate any of this stuff, just like other companies are doing, maybe we won't even talk about it anymore, as far as I'm concerned. But, you never know, it'll get to a point when it starts affecting the cap in this town, and we have to keep raising taxes to keep
No, the
under.
only thing is, I want to just figure, if everybody, the retirees were on the original plan right now, your savings this year were $49,000. By everybody being on the plan we're on now. Everybody was on the same plan, and what they were originally. Follow what I'm saying? The fact that now that we're on this other plan, this year you're saving $49,000.
All right, but we passed it out enough, and it looks like the board's going to the direction of reimbursing. And give us some time and we'll give you the numbers. Because people really fear that's fair.
what do you think? Jim?
Huh?
What's your feelings on it? You haven't said anything.
Well, I just, because I'm totally different than Mr. Shields. That Part B stuff, that reimbursement stuff wasn't meant for everybody. It was meant to pay the penalty only. Wait, let me finish. I don't care what the resolution says, because you sat, just what you're doing there, and fought it tooth and nail, and they all agreed with you, let's do it that way and get it over with. But it was brought up to be, pay the penalty of the people that got paid, the penalty. Well, I mean, unfortunately, we looked at it, there's no real still written of those
You
meetings.
you are so far, you don't know what you're talking about. I
Right.
don't know if it's lost memory or what.
Well, a lot of things have been said about me, Bob, but my memory is still
I'm
here,
not
all
saying-
right?
I'm only saying. the
All
truth.
right, and if some of the people that were on this board that did all that,
Don't make any sense.
if somebody, the people that were still here on the board would, I think would totally agree with me.
Like who?
Well, Danny Waterhouse, Mark McLean,
Danny Waterhouse, that was right in one meeting, said there was never any resolution.
And it was passed,
I'm not talking about those changes, I'm talking about back in 2007.
but it was passed unanimously.
Pardon?
That resolution was passed unanimously, so,
Well, the two resolutions we've been talking about were,
yeah.
The resolution I'm talking about was the one where it was cut $10 a month.
There was no resolution.
No, there wasn't.
No.
And Danny admitted that.
All right, we can hash this out. Let's get it over with, and we'll move forward and we'll make the
So-
compensations.
do you think you can do it by the 9th, Colleen?
Have everybody's documentation.
Yeah,
I doubt it. I can tell you last time I asked everybody's documentation. I was going to check this year.
She had one person that basically reduced the information, which
yeah. And she said more than that too.
yeah,
Now, one other
And
question.
I have my, that's
Well, if she won't help us, then we can't help her. Let's go ahead with the rest of the people. That's it.
and I'm not sure. As it would be all of the frustrating.
Well, if they want to opt out from getting paid back, then that's their option, right? I mean, so that's all. People, we can only help people who want us to help them, right? So if they don't want the help and they don't want to provide the information, then, okay, right? We're good on that?
Yeah. They don't want to,
Have a letter sent out or some formal notification is made and they don't respond in a duly time, then there's only so much you can do.
If somebody, if you're willing to take, accept whatever the cost of Part B was, the minimum cost, is it still necessary then to get that documentation?
Well, I don't know why. everybody looking
I
at
mean,
me.
it's-
But I mean, if you are, doesn't mean Tim or Bruce is. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not fair to assume that everybody's gonna want to accept the minimum. If there was a wrong done here, we need
No, but
to.
I mean, if you're willing to accept the minimum. For instance, with me, all I paid was the minimum. Was it necessary for me to get that documentation? I mean, if you know it's obvious I paid it, I wouldn't be on the plan.
It's already on the
I mean, it's not
plan.
gonna be easy to get, that's my point.
yeah. I'd like to see some good backup for whatever decision we make. I hate to run you through the ringer to go chase social security and it's like chasing the wind, but
Well, why don't we leave it at?
part of the reason we're in this bind right now is stuff wasn't properly documented.
Why don't you see how hard it is before we make any decision in stone on something like that? Bob? Why don't we see how hard it is to get this information? You know, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know.
I've got it, but there's that one on the computer.
Right.
Yeah.
But again.
How hard was
We can't take, well, it wasn't easy. It took me a couple of days to find out how to do it.
can you write it down?
I've got it written down.
No, how you did it.
How did I get it? I don't know. Just going here to there and all.
Because I've tried to look up stuff in the state, and not they.
You just gotta keep that.
It's a bureaucracy that you can't break,
Oh, boy.
that you want to spend days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are definitely ex-employees of the town. Are you in favor of what Bob is saying tonight?
I am.
Bruce? Okay.
Well, we could give it as an option then, right?
Pardon?
We could always lay it out as an option there, but if you're in favor of accepting the minimum, that's okay. But if you want to provide your
That
documentation,
would be fair.
The
then
minimum for that year.
No, the minimum for each.
Okay, so we're not going to go back paying what they were receiving at that time. Not only with documentation and that for each year. And then like the minimal, this is the minimal for each person. So if anybody for that year, say that,
I can give you, I have it.
I think we're talking a minimum for each person. For
In
each
other words, if
year
there
when it was cut.
if there was no penalty, this is what you would have paid.
And now that's the same for everybody.
That's be the same for everything.
Right.
Oh, it's one number for all
Yeah.
Peter Tempe?
Well,
In other words,
with
if you signed
myself,
up when you were 55, it's gonna be the same for everything.
we
Now, if
go,
you were 68 when you signed up for it.
we go through it at the same time approximately, Jim.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, what, $155?
143.
Okay, 143. Okay, at that time. Okay. And that was for A and B.
why the documentation that I got. is for-
I'm sorry, Kelly.
That just makes me wonder why the documentation. is different now
For different people.
for different people.
Yeah.
Right, and there's four different amounts.
Yes, there is.
What
And that's
are
what
they?
I couldn't, I've asked that question numerous times
That people provided to me for this year.
and can't get an answer for it. Because you've got some people here, I'm assuming they're your age, Bob, on our list. And some of them are paying $200 more, we're paying. Another person is paying $300. We're paying $300 more.
That's not possible because your Part B doesn't run that much. The highest you can pay would be $170.
Well,
That's an
you're talking
annual.
what we're paying, right? Is that what you're saying? Oh, we're paying.
Reimbursement.
It says right here.
Part B annual reimbursement.
Right.
I think what you're gonna find is those people were being paid over and above the Part B for some reason.
No, the figures I'm giving you, Bob, is for a year, not per month.
Yeah, this is for the year.
Okay.
21, 22.
And, you know, I can't figure out how that is possible.
I have documentation from one person that they're paying $190. Another person's paying $204 a month. another person's paying $178.
Could we ask them if people were?
Is it official documentation, Colin? Would the penalty fluctuate depending
I
on
don't
how
think
early
you
or
can-
how?
I don't think you can ask that question, Bob.
Would the
Well, that
penalty,
way, might answer the question as to why. Right.
does the penalty fluctuate depending on when you sign up? If it's-
It could, if there was a penalty involved, if you didn't sign up when you were 65, in other words, you waited till you were 68, there'd be a penalty involved.
Maybe some of these people didn't sign up until
What
they
if
were
you,
70.
what if you did it when you were 66? Would it be less penalty than when you were
Yeah,
68?
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's probably, like, maybe something to do with it right there.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know.
But the one at $100 and some dollars. 194? That's for a year, correct?
$194
Is that what,
a month.
A month.
a month?
I mean, I have people ranging
Yeah.
from $148.50 a month to $221 a month.
Does it give a breakdown of like a base rate column and a penalty amount and a total?
Their deductions.
But the only thing I'd like to say is that everybody was deducted $10, no matter what they were supposed to get. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
No, because that number is a fluctuating number, Gene. When we said we're gonna
No,
pay,
but we only deducted $10.
Right.
That's all we did.
Yeah.
but we didn't
Yeah,
take
but
it.
what did you deduct it from?
That's the thing, that's a number, because that part
What
we
did- what did
changed
you
every
deduct it
year.
from?
We never went, after the first year that this got done, we never went in and adjusted that part B that fluctuated every year. So your top line number is the one that we have to be concerned about too. If we said we're gonna pay just
But
for,
if we didn't take 10, let's just say we did it wrong and we took 10, but we only took 10. No matter what the rest was, it was being paid by the employee.
no, because we said we were gonna pay part B. We didn't say we're gonna pay $100 or whatever it is towards your Part B. So when Part B changes, our payment has to change.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, no matter what, we still only took 10. We didn't.
Right.
Some
But we didn't take into
20, some
account
we
the
took-
rest of the formula.
But it's still only $10 that we're taking.
That's true. That's true. But what we owe them is 10 plus a number we don't know what it is.
Right.
Whatever that Part B. Say in 2007, Part B was $100, but in 2014, it was 180. We didn't account for that other $80. If you're gonna pay that Part B, that top line should have been 180 minus the 10 that we did. Follow what I'm saying or no?
If that figure remains the same every year, you're right. But
But
the
it
Part
doesn't.
B didn't remain the same every year. It changes. If it increases,
All right, well, I think we got down to the nitty gritty of what we're gonna do. We can sit here and discuss it. We're gonna have to just get some time and take it and get it right.
I just want to clarify, I see there's kind of three prongs to this. One, you're gonna pay the Part B premiums in full going forward. Two, you're gonna reimburse for premiums that weren't paid from 2014 to the time of this new resolution. And then potentially three, any changes in policy going forward, I guess, impacting current employees or future employees.
Is there a
Just-
provision in this, June, for any new employees to be added to what these guys are
No.
getting now? So that's already, that's,
All right,
okay.
it stopped everything.
We don't have to worry
It went
about that.
forward with
Okay,
these
so then
people.
just essentially two things. Premiums going forward will be covered, and then figuring out a reimbursement.
Between what we deducted and the fluctuation in the Part Bs.
Right, well, I guess figuring out a reimbursement methodology and then finding out what that specific number is, either for each individual or a methodology, I guess, that works for everybody. For everybody. So kind of two prongs. Okay.
Yeah, I
Sound
agree.
good?
Do we want
Right, and we'll try to
You
come
wanna
up, we'll try to
do an
come up
action
with a
tonight?
number in due course, and then we'll let you all know what that number is. And if you agree, we'll move forward. If you disagree, we'll still work on it. So that's the easiest way, I think. Sure.
All retirees, there's a buyout for employees and retirees not taking. So we're going to not go with that. We're going to pay them different amounts for the buyout because that's common sense. Where.
Yes, you'll have to come out of that. Because that's where we went into, yeah.
you ask that first question one more time? I'm just
And
standing
then,
here.
for example, it states that there is a $1,200 per year buyout. Don't take income. Employees or retirees.
I don't think that applies here. That would, the way I understand what you're reading is that 1,200 would be if an employee working now
Now,
has his own health insurance and doesn't want ours, we give him $1,200. Same if you retire, if you have your own and don't want ours, you get $1,200.
Okay, so what constitutes not just Part B? What are we using to say are considered the health?
Would be just whatever was deducted, right? $10. Was there more than that taken from them? Yeah, so why that should be the end of it, right? That should be the end. Just the $10, whatever it was monthly. I think. That makes sense.
Just when we started discussing this, my opinion was different than it is now. So just so you guys know, I'm on board with making it right. So that'll be on the agenda for our next meeting.
I hope we can get, if we can get the numbers. we'll not have to miss it.
I think if we do a motion on the agenda meeting, we do it, Mike, like you were saying, do the payback, not till the resolution, until the time that Colleen comes up with the final numbers and they're approved by the
Right.
board.
I'd still see it kind of in two separate motions. One being premiums going forward and one being reimbursement looking back, right? That's how I'd present it.
All right, that's the way we're gonna do it. All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Have a good evening, guys.
Yeah,
Make a motion, we end the workshop.
Second,
did you get that, Cindy?
Get the motion, then the workshop is seconded.
I did.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I saw it, but I didn't have a chance to open it up. That's fine. You have.
The technician there. A nice big story. One of the lakes angry face down.
That's.
I'll call crew in. Then you gotta wait for bucket truck to come in. Well, okay, with 10 minutes. 300. But I had a good meeting with
I'm comfortable with
the
it.
water man.
I mean, we can do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm going on. Ah.
Chris, are we on you?
You probably need want me to roll the YouTube aspect of it. That's why you cut the CD.
2020, calling the meeting to order. Going to have privilege of the floor to the people out that have any questions on what we're going to talk about the agenda.
Pledge allegiance,
What's that?
They wanna do-
pledge.
they wanna do the
Oh,
pledge.
he's- oh, okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Hanlon.
Here.
Councilman Gus. Here. Councilman Graziano.
Here.
Councilman Niles.
Here.
Supervisor.
Yeah, all right, so the first thing, we're going to open up the truck bids.
They have two bids. Two bids. First one is Nemer Ford.
Cindy, can you pull that mic closer to yourself? Thank you.
Let's see. COD amount due would be 62,334. This is Denoyer Chevrolet,
Who?
Denoyer,
Denier.
Malviny. Cash due on delivery would be 42,197.50.
What did it say, half?
It said upon delivery,
All right.
if I'm looking at it right, 42,197.50.
What about the other half?
What happened?
I don't understand, half?
No, just a due on delivery.
Oh, I thought you said half due on delivery.
What are they
This says
bidding?
cash. due on
Oh,
delivery.
cash. I'm
Cash,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
What are the two vendors bidding on, Cindy? The vehicle?
Well, somebody else is gonna have to compare the specs and, yeah, he's probably the most qualified to compare it.
There's something wrong with those numbers.
Yeah.
I think the first one has a plow and a sander.
Right, and we put that
The
out to bid
second
that one.
one, I believe, is probably nothing.
Look it over, Rob, and compare the two with regards to being 3/4 ton and
I
everything
think the
else.
one was F-350, 1 ton.
It's not 2/4, it's a 3/4 heavy duty. And that's why they call it a 350. It's great.
Now, you want to move on, Doug, while we look at that?
Yeah.
All right, we need a resolution to waive the 30-day notice for the liquor license application with Utopia. Did we just do that?
We did
Yeah,
that
we did
last
that
month
last
and the
We did
reason,
it, but they had to make an amendment to that, therefore they need to,
We'll have that.
submit again, and they'd like you to, again, waive the notice for the amended.
Should be on the agenda.
Yeah, that'll be on the.
What's that?
Can you do it if it's needed?
You can do it, but there's nothing against doing a resolution on it now, but that's kind of up to the board. Standard policy, I guess, would be, yeah, it gets put on the agenda meeting.
All right.
Is there time of the essence on that too?
He didn't say time of the essence, but,
I don't want to hurt the business.
I mean, you know, he just asked me if he needed to give me any other information, and I said no. But, yeah. Okay. You can put it on for the meeting.
Can you send me a copy of the letter that?
I've got this one.
Okay.
I'll give you this.
While she's working on that, what is our internal procedure to get resolutions drawn up?
Well, they come from the agenda meeting and sent over to the attorney. But what we had is a problem brought up by a few people in the audience. They're not coming back with enough information, like the amounts and stuff like that. But the last batch came back very.
Right.
Like,
So
we'd
you're,
like to get more information on what, like, if we're gonna say, buy this truck, whatever, I'm just giving you an example. They should come on the resolution that this board is voted to buy this truck at X amount of dollars, so many miles, blah, 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 from what company.
I can only go on the information that's given to me.
Okay, so we have to give you more.
okay,
information.
where's that coming from?
Well, it's usually the town clerk.
Well, whoever's reading the resolution, whoever needs something to be discussed or, you know, seek to have it passed through a resolution, is going to either have the contract or the idea or whatever it is. We're going to help put that into the form of a resolution. But I can't step into the shoes of the person who's looking to create.
Sure, you need the info to write the resolution.
Exactly.
So that comes out
If
from
nobody-
us, from us to the clerk.
If nobody has a problem with it, what I will do a few days after our agenda meeting is I will send you a note saying, I believe we need these resolutions. It'll just be a list.
That's fine.
Or is that a duplication of efforts from your perspective?
No, but you still gotta give them the information.
Well, I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that'd be fine for me because I'm taking notes based on what's being said here.
Yeah.
And so if you think something was added to the list that I don't have, I'd rather have it be caught
Just
sooner
double
rather
check.
than later,
Okay,
so that we can get it resolution drafted and then circulated with enough time before the meeting that we can actually see, all right, there's a change here, or this one we don't need, we need to add something.
yeah.
What day do you usually send out the list to us before the regular meeting? Like it's like Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, usually like the Thursday before the Monday meeting is when I try to get the resolution back out.
And I don't mean this disrespectfully in the least, but as you're writing these up, if you see that really something doesn't, well, it looks wonky, like I don't have enough information. Can you send like a group email to us that we could all pitch in and say, hey, this is kind of, even as you're writing it, you say, wow, there's a lot of detail missing here. We can't just, because, you know,
Yeah.
look what we just went through at this workshop, because things are a little convoluted. We don't want that to continue, obviously, so.
Right, and you know, the other thing too with the resolution is it's also meant to be a point of discussion. So the resolution can change literally in the meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not in stone.
Right, and so it doesn't necessarily have to be in final form. Like compare that to a local law.
Right.
Right, the local law has got to be established. That's not something that's going to be acceptable to on-the-spot changes. Whereas with the resolution, you have somebody makes a motion, you have a second, and you have a discussion, and maybe throughout the discussion, there's some changes in the language or in the numbers or what have you. That's perfectly fine and well, but we do want to get to a point where, it's in close to final as possible. So, yeah.
Especially for the people that are going online and looking at it, because like Mr. Herring, he's on top of everything that's going on here, and he had questions on almost every resolution, not everyone, but there was a lot of information missing. So I think in the spirit of transparency, that we should have it as close to, like you said, being race ready as when we put it up on the website, not figure it out that night of the meeting.
And certainly a list, Jim, if you send me, here's what I had, from your notes.
Yeah.
That's great. And
I don't want to step on anybody's toes, that's all.
No, if it gets taken, because it was a problem last time. And then you got to remember why we did it. The one way to come up with the right answer. Because everybody looks at the crossing the dots and T's and I's, and you said this and I said that. So.
Well, this is where we had all agreed back, I believe, it was the first part of the year, that all this paperwork is supposed to be in our hands no later than Thursday of our meetings on Monday. So we have time to look it all over. Okay.
The finished product.
Any of them.
As fast as possible, right?
And I know nothing against, the women have been very busy, and I respect them for that, but that has not happened yet.
You come in and get yours today.
Yes, I did. And I did not have half the stuff.
That Colleen then provided for this workshop.
I did, regardless. Okay, the agenda wasn't in my post box or anything. I had stuff that, got a list of what you gave me. Okay, the minutes, I got 2 envelopes. Labella, Lake George area, music camp.
That's
Okay, this is what was in my mailbox. Nothing, stuff that I feel that's important to go over before our meeting and get an understanding where I can sit down and look at it. So I am well versed on what we're going to discuss. And this is why we brought up the first year to have it done by Thursday night
For our regular meeting,
for our meeting, yes.
not necessarily for the agenda.
Right.
all right. Well, I think we'll make it.
One further comment. It seemed several folks wanted us to fill in the blanks as much as we could, and I realize it has to be changed, but it seemed to be particularly important if it was a money issue, that they would like to have that blank filled in when they're reviewing it. We want to spend $20 million on a tricycle. They want to know that.
Right.
And I realize that there's times when we don't know right to the last minute, but that came up a couple times.
All right, we'll work on it.
And I think Mike here had made a great point. Sometimes I lose sight of the fact too, or I'm looking for that shiny finished thing for but really, it's a work in progress. We can adjust and adapt these resolutions at the regular meeting. So I think it's a fair assumption that we do the best we can, and we have to make some changes at the regular meeting, and then we do, and it gets documented correctly and put on file by Cindy.
Sorry for that
No, it
diversion. I
has
just
to be done. It's
trying to
been-
keep stuff from falling through the cracks.
All right, Cindy, you want to read the rest of these resolutions?
Well, I have also to add Beecher Baker to the May 9th meeting. He wants to speak, I think, on the school budget.
What is the situation for the additional crossing guard? Is it the next week?
We haven't met yet. I talked to him the other day. they were closed last week for school, but we're not, that's not gonna, it's gonna be too expensive. We're gonna try to. come up with a different-
You know, I looked at that, Gene, I didn't really see any handicap spots on the school side of that parking lot. No, I'm not on that side, on this
On
side.
the school side.
Yeah, I mean, why don't they just put the handicap spots over there and stop them from having to even cross the road? I mean,
I think the other kind of quick discussion was probably would help everything. Just put a 4-foot fence along the sidewalk so people can't get over to that side. They have to go down.
With the handicap ramp out back where the school buses come down in, you're on the same plan. The people that gotta get into school now can go right in next to the cafeteria. There's no lifting because it's on, they don't have to use the elevator at the front of the school or the one inside. to get
The whole
inside.
thing wasn't strictly for handicap. The whole thing was stopping everybody from crossing the street right there, making them go down
We
to.
can't even get the darn cops, which are all said and done, that no parking, no standing, no discharge of people or anything, and that isn't even taken care of.
It's a dangerous
You get a
situation.
dangerous situation of people crossing there, we got a problem. If there's emergency vehicles coming through that area, okay, they're parked there on both sides. I know back when I was in the fire department, at times, that's a tough situation, okay?
I'll keep you up on it.
We don't get a little help from our local police forces to take care of that. What's the sense of having the signs there?
We gotta ask, I don't know for sure that we even asked for that. You know,
This just came up.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to figure out a better way to get everybody in one spot, not people all between the cars.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
Can I mention that I have given the board the paperwork for quotes for a zero-turn mower that came in this afternoon.
It's a couple of them.
So I've got,
You want to start
do you
from,
want me to go over this list?
start with paying, just bring in the resolution to pay the bills. That's,
Okay, so we have a resolution to pay the bills of the fifth abstract. That would be. And a resolution to accept minutes. If you want to entertain, we have to set a rate for SW2 at the next meeting, water district, because we have to bill that district out. I think it will live just fine with the amount that we're currently billing them, but you guys might want to take a look at that.
I notice we're starting to go down in that factor.
another couple of years. So this way,
A little bit, but when we looked into it, considering that the governor would not let us re-levy, we've not yet been made whole like we normally are through the county.
Right.
So we're down because those people still have till October to pay this last. And if they don't, that's when it can get re-levied on the 2023.
2023, right.
Yes, so it looks a little off.
Ron,
But I'm
have you
not
been able to start getting some figures together on those people down there in Hudson Grove in regards to putting meters on their properties? That was brought up at our last meeting. No,
I would say to go on. I've never done anything with the meter, so I'm not sure what they cost or anything. And it's
well,
been
you're the head
a
of the
long
water
time since they
department. That's
put
why I'm
them up
asking
here.
you. This is why I'm asking you. You're the head of the water.
I don't recall you asked me to go get information on that, but
I think we did. And
I'll get with Cindy and see what.
talking with Jeff, like he said,
Mhm.
it would probably be worthwhile putting a bulk meter on this side of the bridge and see if it compares with their meter on the corner side. I had a good conversation with that gentleman today.
Over there in Trent, Artie?
No, Jeff,
Oh, with Jeff.
okay? And it sounds like he's getting a pretty good handle on everything down there.
Yeah.
Okay, he brought up the factors in regards to if I wasn't here, I guess Gene mentioned that we had a rodent shut down the water district pumps today,
No, well, the pumps, but it was,
the power.
a
The
raccoon,
generator kicked in and,
a raccoon climbed up the pole and got electrocuted in a short circuit.
yeah,
National Grid was there, within an hour.
well, they were there, but at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they had tripped the switch up.
The generator took care of it, but those are things that happen.
But these are a couple things that Jeff and I discussed. You know, we know that the cost down there for those people down there is a lot more than the people in Lake Luzerne. And,
So you basically want a company to come in and install them, just like they did up here.
that might be, get pricing on what it would cost, yeah. You got a person, say next door to me,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is a family of four, and they're not out mowing or watering their lawns and all this other stuff. And here I am filling a 40,000 gallon swimming pool, and I got sprinkler system. And these poor guys are paying for my usage indirectly. And I don't think it's fair to the people that do conservatively, use the water. Just like the town people in Luzerne, District 1.
Okay, all right, well, I'll look into it,
Thank you, sir.
okay?
Yeah, how'd you make out?
With what?
Respect.
That one's a brand new truck without the plow and sander, and the other one's like 7,000 miles with plow and sander, so.
Both 3/4.
That's, yeah, both 3/4. One's a Chevy, one's a Ford.
Gas.
You see the
Yeah.
face on it when you said shit?
Yep, gas.
So what do you think?
I would go the one that's already set up, because the other one, you're gonna have to go buy a sander, you're gonna have to buy a plow.
Well, we bid it out with the sander and the plow on it.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody probably has.
They didn't meet the bid qualifications with the other one anyway, then, right?
Right, yeah, that's what I would say.
Is that how we bid it out, asking for a plow and a sander with the
Right.
bid?
Exactly what we have.
I didn't see the spec that they sent out, but
But we sent out a bid request without you seeing it?
Yeah,
I mean, I knew what you were going for, but I didn't see the actual spec before it went in the paper. But that's the difference, so.
How much is that sander worth?
The truck with the sander,
No, the sander.
or the sander itself?
Yeah.
$5,000, it's probably worn out.
How much is the
Probably
plow
7
worth?
grand.
Plow's probably 7,
8-way plows worth how much?
might be a little more.
8 or 9?
That's a V plow, that's nice, and the price has probably gone up.
Stainless steel too.
Yeah, yeah.
Crew cab, king cab, straight cab?
Single cab.
Oh, okay.
The Neimer one was a 8-foot box,
Oh, was it?
standard cab.
Okay, I'm sorry.
$1,000 difference in price.
Does it say how many miles is on that other truck by any chance?
Brand new.
I think one's 7 and the other one's 12.
All right.
Oh, it is?
See, the one we got, we're looking at is 7, this one is 12. And this
Oh,
one will be a
okay. I
year
thought you
old.
just said it was brand
Oh, I
new.
thought the one he said was brand new, the 42 is brand new.
No, that's not brand new.
The one that's 42,000 is the brand new one, 12 miles on it. The other one,
7,000.
The Neimer one was 7,000.
I believe the other one has 7,000.
24th of May. Not this month, coming up.
I don't see, it doesn't show.
When you say brand new, is it 2022,
It's a 21,
21?
yeah.
Oh, it's a leftover.
leftover. So there's a little bit knocked off the price for that.
Miles right there, 7714. I mean, it's a 21, so. Someone probably took it in and didn't want it, or.
Well, I got that story. Somebody wanted a diesel, they couldn't deliver it, so they took this one for the winter. And then diesel came in and they turned it all back on. That's the story on that one. Will we have a pleasure that we're gonna move ahead? and-
Can I go back through this list?
I'm sorry?
We got more on this list if you want.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna get the truck finished. That's what I'm doing first.
Are you done?
Right?
with the
What's your
truck?
recommendation, Rod?
I just gave you the specs.
On an Eber quote, what model is he quoting? The used truck at 7,700 miles.
What's that?
What model
That's
is,
350. That 350 single cab.
XL, XLT.
and the Chevy is what, 3,500 or something else?
Doesn't say. That 350 regular 10.
What model's the Chevy?
2500 HD,
25.
3500 HD. Regular cab, white.
Your recommendation, Rod?
I would go with the one that's already set up. You're gonna have to go through and do everything on that.
Yeah.
And this one's already ready to go.
You probably have to wait for the sander and the plow, but it wouldn't be a game difference.
Oh, yeah, you
Now,
probably won't even be able to get it until freaking.
You guys,
The winter time.
you install your own plows, Ron, or do we have outsourced
No, I go to Woody's.
that? What's that cost? Roughly,
I don't know off the top of my head.
couple grand,
Oh, for what, just the install or the plow?
no, the install.
If they gotta buy the adapter plates, that's different.
Oh, yeah, the plates and then the wiring. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably gonna be at the same price by the time after you do everything. Then you're gonna need lights on it. We already have lights on it.
So you think the 62,000 is the better deal?
So there you go.
One more question. That one, are they considering that on the warranty work as a full 3 years?
They're saying vehicle is
Being
equipped,
used?
336.
the remainder of factory warranty on
That's okay.
chassis will offer until 4/30/22.
Is the sander on the back brand new? Is it purchased new? Do we know that or?
I would imagine it's a 21 truck, so I would imagine it's probably hasn't even had material through it, so.
Probably haven't, yeah, they're very minimal.
Yeah, and that's a V plow, so it would work excellent for them out here in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah.
I make a motion that we go with Neighbor.
Second it.
We actually can't make a motion. We gotta be made the motion 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Get me all caught up.
Yeah, I just make.
They should make a resolution to make it.
It's
Yeah,
it's going on.
yeah, we'll
it's
consider
going on the
resolution, make a
agenda
motion.
for it.
Let's have an agenda meeting.
Yeah, let's do.
All right, so I can assume we're gonna put it on and there shouldn't be any changes when it gets to the floor.
I hope that truck is still available. The
It is. It is. They were gonna wait for this bid. They put it behind the building so they wouldn't sell it. We had first dibs on it. Okay, so that's gonna be on a meeting. We'll vote for resolutions. All right, go ahead, Sin. Get down to the water. What do we say on the water? The one suggestion was, and that S2, because it's not hurting, we can go a couple more years when it changes, but maybe a suggestion like this year, the S1 is getting raised $25. If we raise that one $25, we can get a little surplus to that S2 account. But that's, something you guys have to decide. So we'll put that on the agenda for a vote. We have 2 weeks to think about it. All right.
Okay, so possible resolution to pay Labella Associates regarding the Lake Luzerne Dam, the amount of $29,501.29 in fund balance.
And in your package, we put the stuff early this week,
The engineering
No,
report.
this
the
was
whole
your,
reports.
this is your list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the Labella, yeah,
Yeah.
and then,
yeah,
okay,
They got the whole report of it,
Right.
30 pages or whatever it was.
possible resolution regarding Part B. That will be on
That
there.
will be on there.
Possible resolution to hire Christopher Cassay as part-time Zoom coordinator at a rate of $75 per meeting. You don't have to. Possible resolution to hire a part-time cleaner for the municipal complex at $15 an hour, up to 3 days a week, 4 to 5 hours per day. I know we interviewed Cheryl Traver for that.
That was, we interviewed her over a month ago. We missed it on the last, it was on the last agenda meeting, but we missed it on the group resolution. meeting.
Yeah.
So.
Cindy, can you
she's-
give me
she's
those numbers
called-
again?
She's called to. see if she's getting the job, so.
15,
$15 per hour.
Yeah.
Up to 3 days, up to 3 days a week, 4 to 5 hours per day.
45.
4 to 5.
45. I was gonna say that's good.
Resolution to consider part-time constable court officer.
Now, we have a couple of applications for jobs here. They're all in your packet. I think we should start interviewing a couple of them as quick as possible.
Karen, by any chance,
didn't-
have you seen those,
No.
those two applications?
For the constable?
Yeah. Could you take a look at them?
Yes.
I also, on the council situation and everything. Greg Gillis was out front today when I stopped, which is one of our judges. And I spoke to him at Mike Gillis that he ought to take a look at the people that we decide on the constable job, possibly. Look at their application also. If they'll be looking at them and groups. You know, to get their feedback. I know when we did our last hiring, Norm, went down there at DFG. Very thankful that they were brought into the process. And the gentleman that was hired, and all I keep hearing is nothing but good news. He does a great job and he knows what he's doing and will do anything.
And he's also a good mechanic, which we didn't know, and it's helping that out a lot.
So by bringing these other people involved that are going to be working with these people, in my eyes, is very important.
I think we should bring him in like we did with.
Yeah. Yeah.
We Bring them in when we put a night to go over some of these applications.
When?
You got quite a stack here.
We got, yeah, quite a bit.
We got a. Individuals. Position, there's rounds.
Yeah. Constable we got.
Yeah, the constable, yeah, we're gonna do that.
2 constables,
What are we gonna do?
well, 2 applications.
I think there's 2 for constable.
Yeah,
Try to-
I kind of want Karen to look at those because I was thinking maybe the other one might be interested in the assistant CEO. Just based upon his
So
resume.
that's really not a possible
All right.
resolution, Cindy, right? We just want to talk about getting them in here and interview.
Right,
So we
that's
wouldn't be
basically-
making any
Right,
decision.
that's
next
what we do,
week.
that's what, all these applications, we should break them down. Some of them are not asking for anything, they just don't want to be hired. That's unusual, but that's great.
You already interviewed the cleaner, is that okay?
Yeah, the cleaner,
Yeah.
Mike, the cleaner we're going with, right, because we already interviewed her and it just didn't get on our resolution list the last 2 weeks ago.
So that should be a resolution.
That'll be a resolution, definitely.
Possible resolution regarding the lawnmowers that you got the
Yes.
quotes for.
Yeah, we got a couple of quotes here.
Zero turns, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. it was over 4.
and we'll give you, Mr. Attorney, the numbers of those quotes.
That's like an example of
Right.
the type of
Yeah,
information that we.
that's so it'll be
need.
on, so everybody knows what we're paying for.
Right.
Should we have somebody on the staff look at those more quotes?
They brought them in, yeah. They're the ones that got them.
We
But
got,
you can ask questions with them, yeah.
well, what I'm thinking is if we get their recommendation, we can do the resolution and move forward. No,
Yeah, personally, I think they need anything they can. As long as they didn't-
On the mowers, I believe it was the one for roughly 6,000, 7,000
That's the John Deere one?
the John Deere. Talking with the boys down there. They were leading toward that more so.
Yeah.
Because they can get just about any engine onto it they want, deck size and things of this sort.
got one.
Last possible resolution regarding occupancy tax, the occupancy tax funding.
Yeah, this is one I brought up last time. Saw it. These are what the people are looking for. They're not my, it's not my recommendation, so I just, I'm gonna rattle them off if you want. If you're in. That's in that, should be in your,
Yeah, they're in there. There's like 5.
You got a whole bunch, yeah, you
Yeah, there's
got-
a whole bunch, like 5 or 6 of them.
Lake Shore area.
Yep.
Snowmobile, music camp.
Historical Society.
right.
School.
Catholic school.
You want me to read them?
School.
You want me to
Folk
read
school,
them? for-
Folk school, that is.
Yeah, the folks,
We have a compiled list like that.
Yeah.
Chamber of
You
Commerce.
should have them in front of you.
there's like 6 to 8, probably more like 6 to 8.
Tri-County.
No, this here, the agenda. You should have got one, 2 sheets.
That's yours.
What's that?
The sheets are on the read. You should have got them.
I never
It
got
should be on your desk right there.
Never got it.
Colleen, put them on the table.
I'll read the occupancy tax.
You want to read it? You want me? to?
I'll read it.
Okay.
Lake Luzerne Chamber, $5,000. Tri-Town Senior Club bus trips, $1,200. Lake Luzerne Folk School, $5,000. South Warren Snowmobile Club, $5,000. Lake Luzerne Music Center, $3,000. Lake Luzerne Historical Society, $3,000. Lake Luzerne Senior Center, $2,000. Pam Moran Historian, $2,000.
And the snowmobile club that they sent us one for 27,000, that goes over to the county this coming year. So
Which we got nothing to do with it.
now, and the only other thing I just want to inform you, we just got informed early last week or towards the end of last week. The county did so well in occupancy tax this season. All the towns are gonna get a percentage more. Our town is gonna get 22,000 more on top of the 30,000. So I think we should go ahead with some of these, get it up, get it going, and because we have to spend it. And a lot of these need them for, like the chamber asked me, because they want to, they can't put in to get the bands unless they know they're gonna get them up.
Right.
So. Tri-County seniors, a lot of our seniors belong to that group, and that's the Stony Creek, Lawrence, and Lake Luzerne. They all go on a bus trip together, each town puts some money into it to support the seniors. So I think that this should go on, if you know, if it's okay with everybody, to move forward with these and try to pass them 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Do we know exactly how many people we're looking to hire at the present time? I know we're looking for a constable and a court person.
Constable in the court.
You
Yeah.
should, it should be the same, yeah.
Okay.
Court officer.
we could,
Right, okay.
all right, and that's the other thing, it wasn't on this agenda, we need an executive session for 10 minutes about a personnel matter. That I'd like the board to hear. That'll, yeah, but I want to talk about it here and then, huh?
Tonight.
Yeah, it'll only take 10 minutes. So, I will keep the attorney here for a few more minutes. We'll keep you here a few more minutes just to go over the executive session about personnel matter. All right. All right, anybody have anything else they want to add for next week?
I'd like to bring a motion up in regards to the Tom Reed project. If it is okay to go out for permissive referendum and let the townspeople make the decision. Not the board. In November's election.
Do you know if that's feasible, Mr. Attorney?
I can look into it.
Because I thought permissive referendums are only something that gives people a chance after it's been voted on to say no to, or expenditure to say no to. The only thing I'm worried about, this becoming, and I'll be honest with Paul, it's a good idea, but if you allow people to start voting on every project that's gonna go on in the town, that could be.
It's the project or the zoning that we're voting on? It's not a project.
Well,
No,
the
this is
zone,
zone.
yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
Again, it's not zoning.
Yeah, what
It's
it
a
is.
change in,
APA
APA.
classification.
right,
It is not zoning.
The issue is this town board going to apply to the APA to change the density zoning in that area? Not changing our zone.
no.
On that note, since you're discussing it, Mr. Reed dropped off in my office. Completed application for the reclassification. There's a copy here for each one of you. I'm going to keep one copy here. 3, 4, 5 of them. Cindy, that does not give you one, but I do have another original, okay? So if you want to take one and pass it down. Now, I spoke with Matt Kendall of the APA at some point in this process because I found I did not have a complete copy of the other application that the attorney and Mr. Reed put together and submitted. And I was asking Mr. Kendall to send me a copy, which he did electronically. In that discussion, Mr. Matt Kendall told me that this is not going to be an amendment to the past application. It's going to be a completely new application because they've changed their application. And part of what that change is that the town, if the town moves forward with this, that's to be determined, the town will be the one responsible for doing the environmental study. And I'm assuming that it will be a long form, not a short form, correct, Mr. Attorney?
An environmental study is going to include more than just filling out the secret form.
Right.
So that's
So
it's a study.
Yeah, and it's usually done in conjunction with engineers, soil people, et cetera, correct? I mean, I've never done one. I've not had to do one. We review them certainly. But anyway, it's going to be the town's responsibility to do the environmental study if you move forward with submitting this application. The other thing that Mr. Kendall told me was that the board has changed since the last submittal. There are new members on the board. And that and he feels that this new board is much more conservative than the last board. So I'm just passing that on to you. That packet of paper that you have from Mr. Reed does not include the environmental papers that will need to be filled out. Mr. Reed has done all of the background work to fill out that application as it sits in front of you. It was not done by the town attorney or any member of the town and of the town board or offices of the town. So I am just distributing it to you at his request. It's up to you to decide how you're going to move forward with this.
So I can
idea.
understand what, then you're saying that before this board says yes or no to send this to the APA to see if they'll make the mapping change, we have to have all this environmental stuff done, or does it
Yes.
get done before the project
It
starts?
has to be done as part of your application.
Wow.
Does Mr. Reed know that?
He does now. I called him and told him.
What
What
did it
kind of money
say?
are we talking for that?
I have no
Huge,
idea.
right?
I would assume.
They'll get into
I
impact,
listen to county ones that get done, you're talking sometimes 50, 60,000.
you'll get into impact study and everything else.
But why would they change that from 2 years ago? Because it puts a lot of burden on the town.
Because I think it took a lot of burden off of the Adirondack Park Agency.
So that
That's a
one,
better way to pass the buck.
Okay, so even though you've been told that, could that be passed on to the person that is looking to do this project?
The problem is, Paul, is that this is not just Mr. Reed's land. It is other people's land that is involved too. So you have to make those decisions. I'm not any part of this other than being the messenger.
Thank God we got it.
Yeah,
I know for both planning and zoning boards, if there are special,
Depending upon the projects, it determines whether it's a short form, just seeker that they do, or a long form seeker. But as the attorney said, it's more than just that seeker form for an environmental study.
I know in both planning and zoning boards, it's within their authority to have the developer, the proposer, whatever you want to call them, pay for engineering consultations if needed.
Mhm.
For example, the cell tower. What we wanted done, so we could.
But again, you're
they could-
not talking about just one
Yeah.
person. This
Well,
involves
I
more than
just-
one
It's gotta
person's
take Tom
land.
Reed right out of the equation.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with this really, other than him looking for us to do it.
Correct.
This is done on our behalf. It's like, we have to unlock the gate for everybody else. So
Right.
It's gonna cost $60,000 to do. Tom Reed has nothing to do, other than the fact that he prepared these documents. It's for everybody that owns land up there. It's to change the land classification. It has nothing to do with building houses. Has nothing to do with the cell tower. It's totally different than all that. Am I correct?
You are correct.
I think you are. So you're gonna have to get all those people in here to see if they want to get involved in this, and if they don't, that's when the permissive referendum might come into play.
I'm not sure if I communicated properly. What I'm saying is, I think it's within our rights to expect Tom Reed to pay for the studies Karen's talked about.
They don't. I think it'd be up to the town to pay for it, because we're the ones that are asking for the land classification. It doesn't mean, suppose Tom decided he didn't want to do it. And Joe Herman's gonna get him back the land off. We're asking them to rezone our property for the people that own it to be able to do different things. It's not that person that owns the one parcel. When the classification is going to include this much land, Tom owns this much, or whatever the ratio is. It's not fair to him. It's certainly not fair to us. So I don't know.
That's not an easy thing to answer.
Well, it needs to be part of your discussion when you have it. I would add that I have a resignation letter from Thomas Reed. He's resigning from the Comprehensive Plan Committee. Letters my resignation from the committee organized to update the town comprehensive plan. There could be concerns of a conflict of interest, and that is best avoided. I wish the committee well in their efforts to assist the citizens of Lake Luzerne.
Well, we'll accept that. We can accept. Now we gotta look for one more person.
I'm on it.
All right, well, back to Tom. I don't know the answer to what do we do? You know, it's not in our best interest to do all this expense to rezone something that might not happen.
I think the only thing that we can do is quote number one is go out and get an estimate on how much money we're talking in regards to expenditure for this study that's got to be done.
Yeah, find out the figure we're actually talking about. There's a way we could do that.
Then know the scope of work is.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
What's the APA?
There are
Is there a
special
packet
attorneys.
that goes together?
I don't know.
So an attorney to prepare an application and then an engineer to do study. I don't know what.
Do we want to change the order of the horse and the cart?
You might want to discuss it at the meeting, at your town, at the regular town board meeting. Perhaps Mr. Reed will be available to give you some input into it. I don't know. It's not something that I've needed to be involved in the past, and I have no idea what it's going to entail.
It's amazing that you brought this information towards here. I don't think anybody knew that, so that's,
Yeah.
how about if we made a resolution and then someone made a motion that opens it up for discussion and then we go from there. Doesn't mean it's gonna pass or not pass, but at least it opens up the bottle, the genie bottle for more discussion and fact finding. That makes sense.
You can have a discussion on it without there being a resolution, because your resolution would either be, I guess, to move forward with it,
Or not?
right? And so you can bring it up as kind of a point of discussion without there being some direction or finality. Because I think you're probably not ready yet to say,
No, absolutely.
yeah, let's move forward with it, or let's.
I think in all fairness to Mr. Reed, too, we should do our homework and find out what's expected of us to put this application and how much it's gonna cost, what's the time frame. And maybe he doesn't, it's gonna take 5 years to do it, he might not be interested in doing it anymore. The other residents that own the property, it's environmental studies take a lot of time from what I understand.
Again, I have no idea.
Well, I was,
Do you know, is this something that has to be the municipality as the applicant, or can it be another entity? Can it be a landowner that makes the application?
I don't know that, but in this case, it's more than one person's land, so it cannot be the landowner. It has, I'm assuming that it has to be the town. I mean, I can call Matt Kendall again and ask that question, whether that application could be sent in by a landowner, but I would think that if that were the case, they would only be looking at that person's land, which is, and I don't want to use the term zoning, but if you were doing it for a zoning change, it would be considered spot zoning. So I don't know. This incorporates more land than just one person's property.
One person.
And so that's why in the past, why the town submitted the app rather than the individual, because it was more than just one person's land that was involved.
It's all encompassing.
Right.
I thought that was an APA requirement.
Requirement. I don't know. I haven't asked that question.
Well, from were you involved with that? You came later, right? You
I don't know what
were,
you're gonna ask.
no, you were in that.
Were you
When Tom
involved
was here?
Yeah.
Yes.
in the
It didn't- it didn't-
2019? Were you involved in
No,
that
no.
application? No.
No, I'm just saying, it seemed like the amount of people that were sitting in the audience and the amount of people that were on the Zoom, doesn't look like there, I think there was only one person that spoke up in favor,
That's correct.
and everybody else opposed against it, so I just don't know what to say, honestly. You're probably gonna have to have another hearing to see if the people are willing to let us go ahead with
After we
this,
get all the information.
if we get the information.
That's-
Until then, you know.
I don't even know where to begin to know who to ask about environmental studies and what it would involve and what it would cost. Have you any idea, Mr. Crow?
No.
EPA, you think?
No,
I can ask APA
I'm sure
that.
they had.
I'll
people-
I
give
think
them a
even the
call.
county might be able to help out, because they do a lot of that stuff on project in the
Right.
county. I'll call Alexis tomorrow and see if there's an engineer or a person or an attorney that.
I know that
Answer
I know
questions.
that the highway department has submitted, I don't know about amendments, but certainly submitted things to APA for work that, like culvert work and stuff that they do. So even someone in the DPW might have an idea of what it involves, but county DPW has their own engineers and everybody on board,
Yeah,
so it's
right.
different.
Sure. And when they're doing a culvert job, they're pretty much just focusing on the area around that job. This
Yeah,
is,
because I've gotten the copies of the APA letters of jurisdiction or non-jurisdiction, and if the permit was issued, et cetera. So I know that they're involved, but I don't know what it entails, certainly.
Well, that information now, it sets us in a course, because now it's not cut and dry that we can just ask them to change it like we did. And then accept it when if you want to do a project. You had to go through all the zoning anyway, but this is totally different. I don't feel comfortable with that.
I don't feel comfortable with the fact that some people would consider us doing that on behalf of Mr. Reed, spending that money specifically for him, because really there's nobody else asking either. Right? And so, we spent $60,000.
Well, that was why we tried to bring in anyone in the area that had property that was involved to come in and make comments at those meetings, because I wanted, that was my objective, was to get.
Right, but I'm saying that was before we knew of all this other work that had to be done too. So
Mhm.
if we're doing it specifically because Mr. Reed filled out the paperwork for us and, we have a blank check that has to be written, that's a whole different thing.
I will call Matt Kendall and see what the environmental study involves, and if he can give me any idea what one, who you might have to hire to do it and what the cost might be.
Thank you.
And it also could be that we spend it for nothing, because if the APA decides that they don't want to do it, it's not a guarantee.
That's not what I,
Right.
I
was
mean, you're
thinking.
just rolling the dice with 60 grand of the taxpayers' money.
right.
Right.
And then they don't want to make the mapping change, then the project stops.
Thank you very much.
I'm surprised they doing it that way. It's like that.
Well, again, I mean, I think it's.
It's
saving-
probably okay if it was all his property, then you just work on one entity. But now you're changing the zoning of people that have their homes built there, and you heard what all of them said, they came here for this, they came here for that. I don't think that would even, if you put it up, the limits of the Haran would even pass.
We need
Because
more
most of the
information.
people that are against it would still be against it. But that's all. All right, so
Well-
let's wait a couple of days, see what Karen finds out. I'll try to.
Yeah.
I can report what I find out at the town board meeting.
I can try to check with our department that takes care of that for the county.
Maybe they have some examples of some that they do, too, because that would be public information. We could get it and just see the scope of it. Is it a package that thing? Or yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
All right, then I was gonna say you wanted to take my thing from Mr. Reed, which is.
I have one more that.
Well, I would give
was-
him, then you can get me one, but it doesn't look like we really need it right now to go through the attorney.
I see the study has been completed by Labella in regards to the dam.
Yep.
What's our next step on that?
Well, they sent us a whole, their synopsis, 40, 50 pages.
I guess,
I'm assuming there's recommendations how to fix it.
Yes.
Things of this sort in there.
the work needs to be done. There's recommendations. I think
Yep.
DEC agreed. More inclined to, it's okay, but hinted that you might want to follow the recommendations.
So,
They're not huge.
But we have to, but the whole thing, we have to pay them the bill that we owe.
Yes,
I
yes.
realize that, but I'm just saying,
Then they need to come back with a list of things that they recommend us being done.
oh, that's
No,
not in this.
Oh, it's in there.
It's in there,
It's in
partly,
there.
but in little clearer terms.
Well, I guess what I'm coming up with, if there's a shot recommendations, then we gotta take a good serious look at it and follow the recommendations and start getting some pricing together so we can budget the money to take care of the repairs.
I agree. Probably the type of work they're recommending would be work you'd want to do with a low water point.
Right, in the fall of the year.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about, more than likely, and I haven't read it, is injection of concrete hydro, what's terminology? It's an injection process of getting into the cracks and filling it by under pressure.
It might be, because I don't know exactly.
The flume pipe, the old flume pipe in the middle, I think they wanted a recommendation that what needs to be addressed in the spillway and cracks, I believe, I remember.
Yeah. there's some procedure. I
Yeah,
don't know the technique to fix it, but it didn't sound like.
remember in the past, they did that years ago. Remember they redid the whole reface it? Yeah, remember that?
They restone or
Yep.
refaced it. They did a
They
nice
shot, they
job.
shotcreted the whole thing. And now that's, at over time, it does wear out. It's just, it never, it's not a permanent solution.
But the cracks within,
The seepage they're talking about,
they'll actually do an injection process. Under high pressure.
I guess there was an issue with the way the spillway for draining the lake is not big enough to get it down to a certain level with 75 meters. Yeah. And DEC wasn't concerned with the flood stage of pushing or any tipping or anything. They weren't concerned with that. So we're good with that. The stability of the dam was good. They said it was DEC, we said it's fine, but you should do the recommendations.
I didn't understand the spillway recommendation.
It's not big enough, basically.
Why do you gotta have it bigger?
It was per,
There's some ratio they use.
yes, it was a ratio. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think we had that same problem on the Bernard Dam, and what they did was kind of sandbagged an area of it, closed it off, and pumped it over it.
Well, they did it down at Arch. Yeah.
I believe they did it and they originally, I think when they redid that dam. That dam we're talking about, I believe they really drained it down. They sandbagged it and everything
They drained the lake right down.
and then bagged it too.
They bagged it out in front of the dam.
Yep.
And they kept the spillway open.
Yep.
But they didn't find any problems with the spillway.
I believe these law, like the percentage of the spillway, because I think that's a newer, something that was decided over, I have to reread the thing again. There was something a formula they'd come up and it was.
Kind of like some ratio,
Yep.
emergency flow,
Yep.
something or other. Yeah, I didn't understand.
We gotta start working on that. All right, anything else, Dennis? Anybody have anything else?
I got a. I got a letter from Mr. Hausman. An email, and I forwarded it to Cindy. The gist of it is that the folks up in Lake Benar in that area would like to see some action started on milfoil infestation, checking on that kind of stuff for the other lakes besides just Lake Luzerne.
I thought that study was already been done.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard that we don't have a problem.
Right, there's milfoil, but it's not the invasive kind, so you're not allowed to get in there and eradicate it unless it's the invasive.
Right.
Which is Lake Bernard, fourth lake, second lake. It all starts in Lake Luzerne.
It ends up-
Yeah, ends in.
So, there might be a pretty simple solution to taking a look at this. We have to have Solitude come in and do another little study on native milfoil species in Lake Luzerne, and they have given us an estimate to do the other 3 lakes. With $1,000 a piece. Yeah.
Is there a shelf life on that? Like if we have that is only good for like a 3-year period and then runs out because.
He took the expiration date off his quote because his original quote was to do it last year. Kept the price the same, but the expiration date off, and we have to execute that. But the other lakes were a change order to that proposal. We don't have to do anything right now, but I'm just kind of,
Get ahead of the ball, get ahead of the.
yeah.
We say when the best time of year is to do it. Summer starts to grow, right? Yeah, summer, so now would be the time.
Yeah.
Probably
Last year got 2
midsummer
late.
when it gets good.
Like it's supposed to be done maybe in August or.
Yeah, I'd say.
When it's at
Support
its
that.
peak.
So that's something we could put a resolution together to do, right? If we decided to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's money well spent. What about the Hudson River? We have a lot of river in Luzerne. Do we have any of that? Are we doing anything about that?
I've never seen any. I
We
don't,
can't do anything with that.
I don't know, I'm just, that's.
Everything belongs to the state.
it grows a lot better in quiet waters.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I've never seen any, but I've gone out with my.
A lot of
with
people
deer,
don't
look
know what
for
it
it.
looks like and they think the weed is not doing right.
I've been on the, well, kayaking on the Hudson from far up Buttermilk all the way down. I've never seen it. It's sand rock. I really don't think it would be a major issue to worry about. I believe that'd all be state.
If there was any.
Waterway. Yeah.
Down.
Well, why don't you
That's
tell,
different.
why don't you tell Solid to give us a written proposal?
Okay.
Give us a written proposal so we can have it for next meeting.
Okay, I have it already. I have it already.
You have it written? Okay.
Yeah.
For $1,000 a lake.
These are no point ones that.
Huh?
Infrastructure money all for that. There's money.
Does it have anything to do with COVID?
Jim, did we get our contract for the ton of pickers?
It's in the works,
What's that?
the contract for the harvester, AE.
They just gave us today, right? A couple days ago.
Yeah,
The attorneys looked at it.
Okay, we do have one.
We have, yeah, we have
we
one.
have to mail it out and get them to sign
Sign
it.
it back and then we could pass it at the next.
And just for your information, today and tomorrow, I'm attending that New York State Federation of Lakes Association Conference in Lake George. And some of these people are there. Tracy Clothier has set up the first meeting of the Town Advisory Committee, Cindy, I think is what they're calling it, which is the comprehensive plan group. The first meeting of that's going to be Tuesday, May 10th at 7 p.m. No resolutions.
Mike, how do we stand on Pine Hill?
We have an agreement of terms on the Pine Hills lease. That'll be a resolution that'll be added. And I'll send a copy of the terms that we agreed upon. I was working with the president, Joanne, let's see, Quadro, but yeah. And so that's resolved. And like I said, I'll send you a copy of the leases as we've agreed on it and then set that up for a resolution. In terms of the milfoil contract, Jim, I think the only issue that I understand, the only issue remaining was the payment terms. I think they had wanted 10 days. Is that resolved?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I think,
I told him we pay bills once a month.
Yeah.
He says I can live with that.
then, I think that's all set to go.
What about, we haven't done anything or where we stand on the Boers Lake Dam
I was gonna ask that, if anything going more with helping Forest Lake?
in regards to, how
Yeah.
we set up before.
Yeah, there's nothing coming back from the,
From Rose?
no, we got all the information that we could get from her and everything that Cindy had on file for it, which was, I said, not complete in terms of setting up the special district. And so that's when we were reaching out to the comptroller's office to see if they had any records that would indicate that this special district had already been established. They're not coming up with anything. And so, at this point, it either looks like we got to go through the steps to create the special district, or we find some, if somehow it was filed with the controller's office in a name that somehow isn't being reflected in any of the town records, which, it's not impossible, but I find it hard to believe. That would be the only exception to it. So the way that it looks right now from our review of everything that's kind of come from it is the process was started, I want to say in the 90s, 98 timeframe, but it just had not gotten over the finish line. So,
But it happened anyway.
well,
They were taxed, right? The money was paid back.
Yes.
right, but I don't know if that would not have been as part of the special district for this purpose. So I don't know if what was established, and that was established well before 98. I don't know that that had any sort of bearing on their ability to bond out for the dam improvement. So I guess from what we've seen so far, it looks like we just have to get them set up, established, and then do a bond on it.
What has to be in place to tax somebody?
I'd have Kara look into that. It was.
I'm just wondering if we can keep looking.
Yeah, if there's additional records, but Cindy gave us everything that they have. Got everything that Rose had on, which was echoed a lot of the information that Cindy had. And then nothing essentially coming back from the comptroller's office on it. So if there is something else out there.
They're hoping to do that this year, right? It's not gonna happen.
Okay.
I just wondered if it's a possibility. I didn't miss the bell.
We know.
Yeah.
Yep.
The change of this.
Change it.
Strict meetings on Saturdays.
It's your fault.
Jane. I have one more item too, so don't.
Okay.
close
All
before-
right. Speak up and you shall be heard.
Yeah, you should do.
Did you see the papers? Guys, the EPA voted that 62 to allow the boards to do for silicone. Spots, not very big.
I read that in the Chronicle.
Yeah, one's 3 acres and one's like 4 acres.
One's up in Hague.
Yeah.
But then I see in
Yeah.
something else I read
Good.
since then.
Ready?
Yeah. Certain towns are
Like,
like,
it passed.
We're gonna be back in.
oh, it did pass.
We're back. All right. You want to finish here?
Yeah, I got one more thing. Got some concerns with the Nemer bid. So according to the bid directions and specifications, we asked for a spec sheet to accompany the bid. And I didn't see one from Nemer. We asked for a delivery date. Doesn't have a delivery date. Need to have a non-collusive bid certificate in Iranian energy and sector divestment certificate. Doesn't have that.
Who's this? Which one you talking about?
Nemer, the one for 62,334. And it's supposed to be an amount that would be binding for 60 days. Theirs indicates that the offer expires on April 30th. So I would say I have some concerns about moving forward on the Nemer bid, and I guess I'd suggest that everybody take a look at the notice to bidders that went out and then what they provided before we move forward on it.
That's just a standard contract. like this. If they present,
Yeah. That was the only thing in the envelope. And so, like I said,
Does that disqualify them, Mike, or can they update the information to match what we asked for? Because we already have the price, just the wraparound stuff, okay, to get afterwards, or they don't?
it was supposed to be presented, so, I would say as a bid, this is incomplete. Again, that would be my perspective, but you can certainly take a look at it and come to your own conclusion on it. I don't know that we necessarily need to walk them through what they should have done in the first place after we gave them the instructions on how to do it the first time.
That's not the first one they've done, right?
Right, right. You would think, right. So again, I would just say, if you take a look at what we asked for and then what was received.
And how about the other one, the other ones?
Yeah, I did see that they provided the spec sheets, made it, gave a delivery date and kept the price available for 60 days. They do have the certificates as well, so that one looks, again, complete in terms of the required information and documents to be included.
But it doesn't have the plow and the sand.
What Mike said makes sense, because I asked Ron, not that it's his fault, is it an XLT, is it an XL? He didn't say, because there's a huge difference between.
There is a huge difference.
In those packages, XL to XLT is probably 10 grand. Big difference. So without us knowing, I mean, that's not, that's
on
trying to put
Chevy
it,
line, it's the, what is it, the Z.
well, it's got a spec sheet with it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I would just recommend taking a look at each one along with, what we had asked for. Just to see, okay, does this,
It's an SRW. I got pictures here.
right,
SRW regular cab. I'm not sure what SRW is.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, neither.
That's about- I mean,
No, that's
I'm not a Ford man, so I don't
That's
know.
the Chevy, right?
No.
Ron?
That's the Ford.
It's a Ford?
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Well, that's good, because we're talking about a truck.
Right here's a couple of pictures of it.
I mean, in all fairness, what Mike said is spot on, but it shouldn't be up to us to look at it on a cell phone to try and determine, what it is or whatever.
This-
I have the opportunity
Mary
to
Ellen,
go over
single
the
rear
morning
wheel.
and maybe submit some more tomorrow.
Single, single.
What's the difference between
a dually
and a
single rear wheel?
I would say
Really
yes.
not gonna vote on
Mary
it.
Ellen.
I would say I'm not comfortable with it.
It's a
but-
3/4 ton.
Google's your
heavy
friend.
duty. Is what it is. It's not. a-
Super duty.
Super duty. It's not a true 3/4 or 1 ton, which the 350 states. Because a 350 would be a dual wheel, 1 ton. You can get it?
Single wheel, because, yeah.
You get it.
Yes.
Okay.
An F-350 front end, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, an F-350 front end is considerably heavier than an F-250 front end.
It's just a suspension. Everything the same.
So, if you look at the differential on the front end of an F-350, it's 4 inches bigger than a 250.
Yeah.
So either-
That's it for me.
That's all I.
Yeah, so, yeah, Jim brought up a great point. Neither bid is hitting the mark because the Chevy didn't come with a sander or plow attached to it, and then the Ford is missing all the pertinent stuff other than boilerplate stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Well, what you have on the equipment is a snow plow prep package. So I don't know if that's the same as,
You're talking to Chevy, though?
no, the bid, the specs that we asked for the truck to have.
So it asks for a snowplow prep pack.
That would mean you
Right.
still have to buy your own plow.
Right.
It just means that the truck is capable of handling the plows.
That's what I would understand.
Is that right, Ron?
90% of these trucks come with that on that.
They do. Like the towing package.
It doesn't say anything about sander.
No,
Yeah, neither one of them supplied the.
Does everybody else for the agenda?
Yeah.
Well,
Any others?
Karen has one more thing that I'd like to
Well, I
get
think
discussed.
Ron needs to talk too.
I don't think any of us
I
saw.
only got two things. I got Rebecca Terry from DC coming next week, or pardon me, to answer some of your questions, Mike, about that, the campground process up there.
Did you
And
tell
I-
her what the questions were, Ron, so she can be prepared?
I gave her a few. If you have more, can you just text them to me?
Yeah, sure.
And I'll get them to you.
Yeah.
Jeff down there, he needs to get reimbursed or he needs to be given a phone. Because he's got that emergency line going to his phone, his personal phone. So he's just looking for a little reimbursement or like a stipend or something.
This is
That's-
the water.
You mean if something
we're
goes-
talking
Yeah,
about?
the water chlorination guy. I believe the last people, they had phones. He doesn't really care to have another phone because that'd be two phones you got to carry, just a little stipend or something to take care of it.
How much?
He didn't say.
When you say emergency line, Ron, this is if the pumps fail or something like
The
that.
pumps fail or something goes down to the tank.
How often does that happen?
How often?
Right this minute, we're having a major problem.
It could happen quite a bit.
It can happen a little
It can
bit,
happen,
but it's not
yeah.
major. Yeah.
Hey, that's something stupid or
So what is he on a limited plan where he's burning up minutes kind of thing, or is-
he didn't say.
it's a phone call?
In effect, he's using
You
his
think
phone for
you'd be
business.
using
in
your
town.
phone for free if it's work related?
If I'm on an unlimited plan, it doesn't matter. But I'm not saying no, I'm just asking. I mean, is he, are you?
He did not say what kind of plan he's on. I'm bringing it up to you guys, and if you feel that he should.
Our
So,
past water keeper had her own phones provided to her by the town,
to
correct?
them, yeah.
Yes.
Never used them, but they were provided. I got it wrong, so.
All right, Karen, you have something?
Yeah, I only have one other item. We talked about this last month. We need someone to take the minutes of the meetings for the planning board and the ZBA. I understand that the chairman of the ZBA was going to talk to Jim after our last meeting, because it was very apparent that me taking the minutes and trying to participate in the meeting did not work very well. And Tony Springer took the minutes of the planning board meeting this last Wednesday, and she has the same problem. She's trying to listen to what's going on and be knowledgeable about what's going on and vote, and to try and take the minutes. It's near impossible to do. So I don't know how you're going to go about doing it. If you're going to put it out on the website that you need someone. Again, Councilman Niles and Supervisor Molino and I sat down one day and did have a discussion about how to reimburse this person. And I think the overall end of that conversation was to make it like a, not per meeting, but a flat fee
Salary.
for like a
Like-
stipend
yeah.
for the year to attend these meetings. It could be 2 meetings a month. It could be 1 meeting a month. It could be no meetings a month, depending upon what comes into my office. I will say that last year, I think we canceled 2 meetings out of the possible 24. And so far this year, we've canceled 1 out of 4 months, out of 8 meetings. We've canceled 1 so far this year. because we did not have anything come in. But it needs to be done, and it needs to be done sooner rather than later.
I just got a question. Why didn't we give Chris a salary for the year that, and we're paying him? No, we're paying him by the meeting.
By the meeting, yeah.
Yeah, that's done.
Well, you don't know how many meetings he's gonna have, though.
Right.
And
But you,
in my, and well, his case too, you don't know, like the planning board meeting was an hour and 10 minutes, I think, this last Wednesday. Is that pretty close to correct? And zoning board went much longer than that. It was maybe an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. But when we do things like the cell tower and things like that, we've been here as late as 10 o'clock some nights. So you just don't know how long, and it's not just the meeting, it's then transcribing the minutes, because I've been trying to transcribe the minutes from the zoning board of appeals meeting, which we had on, the second Thursday of this month. And here we are, the last day of the month. And I still don't have them done, but I also have other work that I have to do. And I mean, Cindy can chime in on how that works in her office. It takes to be able to have that person keep track of the time that it takes them to transcribe those minutes is going to be difficult to verify.
just so you're clear on what I was asking here, and I wasn't saying that it wasn't deserving. I just was asking the reason of why we would put somebody on a flat salary as opposed to.
Only
paying-
because we don't know how
I didn't
much.
get to finish my question. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Is there a lot of work that needs to be done after the meeting too, as far as the transcribing? They have to take it home and work on it for 4 or 5 hours or?
It depends on the length of the meeting. I mean, say you have a meeting that goes for an hour, it's going to probably take you longer than an hour to transcribe those minutes.
Depending on how good of a job you
Right.
did taking them in the
Right.
first place. Right, so what would you think the fair salary would be?
I think we came
I can't
up
I can't
with
remember what we said.
around, I think it was like $1,800 a year is what we
Yeah.
had proposed, what we had discussed.
That's what we discussed that meeting
Yeah.
at night. Yeah.
And the other issue, just to bring Mike up to speed, is they have to put it on their calendar even if the meeting is canceled.
Oh, I was the first one who said we should never pay somebody by the hour for that because you're not gonna get them. I was the first one who said that. I have no problem with that. But that's $150 a month. So if they come to 2 meetings and we pay them the same thing that we're paying Chris, that's $75 each, and then they still gotta go, they got homework. Is that enough? You're gonna track that person?
Well, we based it on what Lori originally got as clerk years ago. That was taken away from her at some point, but when she first started it, she got a stipend of, it was less than $2,000, I think she said. So we didn't want to make it.
But the difference, Karen, not to interrupt you, when Lori's transcribing the meeting, she's getting paid to do it here. There's a big difference there, but someone has to take it home and do it on their own time. That's apples and
That's
oranges.
totally up to you, gentlemen, to decide that. I need the person, however it gets
Well,
done,
that's
but
why if we don't make it
but-
attractive enough, we're not gonna get
you
them.
do want to keep the payment. Again, here we go again, in line with what the people that are doing the work are getting paid. I mean, we sat down and figured out what I got an hour based on just the zoning stuff. And it's 18, it was what, $17 or $18 an hour, Jim, when we figured it out? So if you're gonna pay somebody $75 an hour, is that fair?
But you just said some meetings go 3 or 4 hours. And then they gotta take the stuff home and work
Yeah,
for
I
another 2
know.
hours. So you gotta.
So are you
Well,
gonna
I
do
mean-
that? Are you gonna do it per meeting or do you want?
I'm just asking questions. I'm
Yeah,
not saying anything.
I
other
know
than
that
asking, that's
you
all.
need to think about it and decide
I
how you're
am.
gonna do it, but I need somebody.
Well, the only thing it's getting to a point, it's getting tough to get people.
It is.
By any
The old
chance, any
days
of
of
the applicants-
volunteerism is gone, but
Well, I
we
didn't
have
hear
to
you
come up
say-
with volunteerism is
Oh,
gone.
absolutely.
And, it's now the situation, we've got lifeguards now, we're gonna be making $17 an hour. and we only, some of our employees only making 1650, it causes problems, you know? So, the only thing, like I said, let's put it out again on the internet. Try to, maybe get it in,
By any chance, is there any of the applicants that have already been turned in? Possibility?
yeah, well, a lot of them have any job, but I don't know if they're looking for a part-time, you know. like
There's a
most
skill
of them-
involved with that too. You just can't set any, I said, you can't just set anybody up there and expect them to do.
It's gotta
especially-
be somebody who knows a little bit. about it.
Absolutely.
Well, I can tell you that if you've got a 3-hour board meeting, that's at least twice as much time to transcribe it. Whatever medium. So,
So 3 hour meeting takes
so most
6
of the
hours to
time,
transcribe.
I can't do that in the office. I have to take that home. I can't spend an entire day, you know.
So you're talking 9 hours of work for one 3 hour meeting, basically. Would this person have access to like what you have, a tape recorder and the disc, or are they just relying on what they?
They would,
have to write
we would
papers?
have to make it available to them. We'd have to, you know, do a CD or the disc. I mean, Tony took home both a tape from the other night's meeting and the CD that we put in. Luckily, the meeting didn't go past that time that the CD recorded. Otherwise, I don't know that I could have switched it over, but I, you know, got to learn to do that certainly. But anyway, yeah, that's how I'm transcribing it, is from a tape recorder from that other meeting. I mean, I had my notes from the meeting, and luckily we had a new alternate that night, and he kept notes as well, gave me his notes. And I'm listening to the tape as well. I've got them pretty much done except listening to the tape and making sure that it's accurate, but it's not done yet.
Wonder if we can get a retired stenographer that doesn't
Good
record,
luck.
you know.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I know it'll be costly, but nothing's cheap anymore. And we have to just work on it. Let's start with. putting on the, There's,
Where we're saying-
I forget-
Somebody needs to put it out
Yeah.
there that we're looking
Well, we
for
just
someone.
have
I've
to
talked
give
to
me the
those
wording
people
on
about
that,
it,
right?
so.
If you can give me some wording on that. I don't know what, I think it's called Indeed. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know, my wife's been putting our business on it. We've been getting calls, so there are people looking to work or things like that. The only problem, and I'll be honest with you, what we've had, you know, we set up 3 or 4 appointments to come for work.
They don't show,
They don't show.
because that clicks the box of them getting their unemployment just by
That's
responding to your ad.
That's exactly right.
Terrible.
So that's, we learned that in the last couple of weeks. You know, we lined up 5 people for last Saturday. Nobody showed. And that's what it is. They're just putting that little check mark and then they're unemployment. I can't say for sure.
It's the truth. Well, it is.
So
Logical
it's a tough thing and nobody.
Make sure Lori sends Jamie what she wants on the website.
Yeah, that's what I want. You
All
gotta
right,
put in
we'll get
exactly what we
something put
want to say.
together. And the other item again is the deputy zoning officer.
Well, we're gonna
position.
try, we should make it, could we make a date on when we'd like to interview?
Yeah, but what if you, well, you do have one applicant at this point.
No, I think we have 2 now.
Oh, do we?
So,
Well, we have to get into it. We have to pick a day, call all these people and say, you gotta come in and talk to them. And then make the decision that night or wait.
I like where you did it the last time.
Yeah.
With Norman, the other guys. It was good.
What we do for a regular meeting.
It was a separate night. Separate. It was a Tuesday, because that was it. I'm still stuck to the June.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll do it next week. All right, so let's think about that. Can you pick up, let's say, we gotta get together and look at it first, really. I think that's what we need more than having them just come in, because we can read out a few of them that.
You have to call it.
Right. And I'd like to go talk to every one of them, but and maybe get 1 or 2, but
Set a date.
May 3rd or 10th.
what is that?
May 3rd or 10th.
I don't know. When is it now?
I don't just-
Oh, we have a meeting on the
Sooner the
9th.
better,
That's
next
our next
We
one.
have a meeting on the 9th.
You've got that advisory committee meeting that night on the 10th.
7 o'clock.
Monday, 10th. Third.
How about the 17th?
Then we're really stretching it out for sure.
That's
though.
what happens.
What about the third? We got something. on the
We
third?
have a meeting on the 12th, a ZBA meeting on the 12th.
That's about the third of next week.
That's our regular meeting.
About the third next week.
Is that a Monday?
Tuesday.
Fine with me.
Mike, you all right with it?
That's
Paul,
good.
can you make it?
And what
I
is
don't
this
know.
meeting for?
Interviews.
Interview some of these, we'll sit down.
Okay, so
And we'll-
not for this board.
Well, we're
position.
hoping if we put an ad in the paper starting tomorrow, maybe we'll get it on
Yeah.
Monday. That's right, tomorrow, Saturday.
Or some of the
So you're not
people
gonna get anything by Monday to Tuesday?
No. I don't know what to say.
But we have other fish to fry, right? Maybe we could find a candidate that's willing to do it out of what we have to interview for the positions we have applications for.
But we know we got good candidates for the constable.
Yeah, that's true.
But we had originally talked about asking whoever ended up being deputy to do the minutes of those meetings.
Yeah.
And then we weren't sure.
That would be, it. Yeah, that would be it.
Do we have a resume or two for that?
For what?
Your deputy
For
job.
deputy zones?
Yes.
Yes, we have one.
We have one at
So that could be
least.
part of the job description. It is. and for
Yeah,
it.
I'd say we go ahead and start interviewing you if it's only for one
Let's
job.
work with what we have.
Get one done, we got one done.
I agree. 6 or 7.
And if somebody can't make
6
it,
or 7.
Whatever.
if somebody can't make it,
Well, the third, what did I say? The third, the third.
the third's a Tuesday.
It's not- no. What is it? What did I say? The third.
Jason's is the 10th.
Okay, let's do it on the third.
That's next week.
Let's do it.
May 3rd,
May 3rd,
what time?
7 o'clock.
You get folks notified? Maybe we can get constable behind us. Some other stuff.
House cleaner.
Yeah.
Those two are out the bat.
Yeah.
That's a position that it's right at the top too. It should
Yeah.
be looked at first. Well, one of the first ones, I should say. We have two good candidates, two good applications. So I really feel they're serious.
You know them?
And one former, I've worked with them 30, about 30 years
For what position?
for constable.
Constable.
Okay. That's good.
The other applicant is a retired.
Worked with them very,
Yeah, we have another retired police officer. who's gonna-
Either way. you
Yep.
can't lose, right?
yeah, either way. I mean, I got 30 years of reference for the other one and I don't know the other gentleman, but his application's strong,
Okay.
very strong.
I was thinking maybe he might consider the zoning position,
Might be.
zoning, deputy zoning enforcement office. He wouldn't know the zoning end of it, but he would know the enforcement. end of it.
Yeah, the other applicant, he messaged me the other day if there's anything. We haven't heard anything yet. It's still, I believe we're still taking applications in, but I'll get back to you. I told him. He reached out to me. So he's anxious to get in
So we're
there.
gonna go on the third, try to give, I'll have Colleen start calling some of these that might look, you have, not that you're picking a person, but if you have a preference that you might, just let us, know tomorrow, and we'll definitely call those people first. Because some of them say that any job.
Yep. I can let one applicant know in a minute. I can let him know that Tuesday night he's gonna be interviewed.
Okay,
I can let him know right now, so I can get a hold of him.
all right, thank
The other gentleman, I don't know.
you. And before we run out, you finished, Karen?
Yes,
All right, we're gonna adjourn, a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And now I need a motion to go into an executive session. Just for
You're
about-
not adjourning the meeting.
Huh?
You're adjourning to executive
This, we're
session.
adjourning to
Yes.
executive session on a personnel.
I make that motion.
I second.
may I read?
Me
Making a
too.
motion? Anything, nothing afterwards.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
this is executive session with no business.
No
to be
business,
discussed
yeah.
when you come out, except to adjourn the
We're gonna
meeting.
adjourn the meeting.
And I
when we
don't
come
have
out.
to stay.
No, you don't have to stay. Yeah, we zip them too. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.